When somebody mentions the France, most of you will come up with some beautiful things such as Eiffel Tower, Louvre museums, romantic story, and so on. Besides such gorgeous things, there is another dark side of France of which less people are aware, the history of colonialisms. French colonialism started from 16th century in the New World, but its golden era was 19th century when French Empire became the second biggest empire over the world. The Blue regions was the territory of French Empire during this period, mainly include West and Central Africa and Indochina. These posters were drawn in early 20th century, present to us three main ethnics ruled by French Empire, which are Sunni Muslim African, Native African, and Indo-Chinese. You can easily realize that head is the traditional head of Vietnamese. After World War II, the independent movement of colonized increased, and Vietnam was a pioneer of this movement. Those countries, through fighting intensively with the colonial army of France, gained the independence sequentially. This is Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Madagascar, and Algeria. How about the destiny of other West and Central Africa countries? Yes, they were fighting, were revolting, but their striving was not enough to get independence by themselves. Finally, in 1960, United Nations announced or declared to give independence for those colonized. Hence, those countries eventually got the independence without blood costs, but nothing is free. French government still found other ways to continue earning profit from its colonized, which is colonial tax. The colonial tax in Africa nowadays is main issues I would like to share to all of you today. There is many components of colonial tax. Firstly, the new independent countries need to pay for the infrastructure built by France in countries during colonizations. This is Sub-Sahara Railway built by French colonialists, and now people here need to pay annual fee for it. Ex-colonial of France forced to use French colonial currency CFA. There is a rule for countries using CFA currencies that they must deposit their national monetary reserves into French central bank. It's much an evil system, even denounced by European Union. But France doesn't want to stop that colonial system, which puts about $5 billion from Africa to its treasury. Depositing monetary reserve means those countries cannot operate any monetary policies without asking French central bank. Hence, French central bank can manipulate financial market of those countries. There are two kinds of CFA currencies. The green region uses West CFA currencies, and the red regions use the central CFA. The value of two currencies are equal but untransferable unless through French central banks. That means trading among those countries are controlled by French government. The African also have to send their military officers to training in France or French-ran training facilities. France has trained hundreds of traders and no results. They are dormant when they are not needed and active when needed for a political coup or any other purpose. Under something called defense agreements, France had the legal right to intervene militarily in African countries and also to station troops permanently in bases and military facilities in those countries run entirely by the French. France has the first right to buy any natural resources found in the land of its colonies. It only after France would say, "I'm not interested," that the African countries are allowed to seek other partners, but who don't like gold, which is the main natural resources of those countries. This is Libya. Libya is not an ex-colony of French Empire. Therefore, Libya didn't use CFA currencies. However, the leader of Libya, Gaddafi, planned to create a new currency for all African countries, like Euro currencies. Let's see what happened to Libya in 2011. By the allegations of crimes against humanity toward Gaddafi's government, France forced NATO and military coalitions of Western countries attacked Libya by air force and killed thousands of innocent Libyan citizens. This was also pushed Libya into unstable and unsafe conditions until now. From the third richest countries and having the highest GDP per capita over the Africa continental. Libya nowadays is thus a desolated route after war. Those are pictures taken by a Libyan guy, so the damage of war to the capital of Libya after 18 years. France earns profit from its colonized, but they also took the consequence of their own colonial system. Many political coups revolt happened in Africa, creates a number of immigrants west from Africa to Europe, especially in France, to seek a better life. The immigrants create the burden for French government because they are jobless and need a lot of allowance from national budgets, forced government to tax French aboriginals more. Hence, taxes pushed the living cost higher and became the reasons of Yellow Vest movement in France from 2018. Besides Yellow Vest movement, there is another movement called Black Vest. The native African immigrants who don't have a legal citizenships came to the road and revolt for their right of living, for legal paper, for food, for education, and many other things. Here is the France 2018 FIFA World Cup squad. By winning the championships, the French football team, which has 19 immigrants or children of immigrants, out of its 23 member squad, was writing a different kind of history for minorities the world over. That's all of my presentations. Thanks for your audience.